the Touring Car Masters presented by Autobahn. So perfect race category to have on this heritage weekend here at Sandown. We'll be on board with John Bowe and the Mustang. The circuit, 3.1 kilometres, first built in 1962, and it is one of the fastest circuits that you'll find in the country, the oldest permanent venue that still remains in operation here in Australia. 12 turns coming onto that short little kink before they cross in front of the pits. This is the final race of the weekend, and well, a couple of legends will start right at the front. John Bowe and Jim Richards on the front row in the Mustang and in the Falcon. Steve Mason in the Camaro, another Camaro with Andrew Medicki. So a lot of familiar names. Now, there was a race earlier on in the day, and in fact that result was not declared. So this is the finishing positions of race one from yesterday. So a real chance here for everyone to get stuck into things to round out this weekend. There's one more round left to go at Sydney Olympic Park in a fortnight's time. Bernie Stack has been so strong in Group 2 in the Porsche. Gavin Bullis has had all sorts of engine problems and in fact missed his first ever race in this category over the course of the weekend. Cameron Tilley in the Pacer, always a factor. John Nelson, another of the Porsche 911s from the Group 2 category. There's actually three groups of cars. Philip Showers in the Little Escort is outpowered down the straights, but he leads the way in that category. Cameron Mason in the Datsun, and Wayne Mercer will start down the back in the big Falcon XY GTHO. The weather, again, picture perfect here at Sandown. Partly cloudy throughout the course of the day, a maximum of 24 degrees. Perfect conditions to race. It's currently 22, but when we come back, we're going to get started and turn back the clock a little bit more. Dick Johnson's joined me in the box, and there's a chance here for you to get one back on an old teammate, John Bowe. We're hopefully going to beam into car number 18, and you can get him back for all of those 11 years you had together. Well,
it was amazing, you know. We had a fantastic partnership going for all those years, and I think, you know, to this day, I think Bowie sort of regrets, you know, making the decisions he's made, but together we made a great team.
Well, it's going to be, well, it has been a tough weekend for Gavin Bullis, I should say. He had engine dramas in practice, which meant he didn't start race one. And Aaron, as you mentioned, that was the first race that he's ever missed since the series began in 2007. He worked his way from the rear of the grid through to 6 in race 2, but it was declared a no race, which means he's back at the rear of the grid for the final race today. So watch for him to make his way through the field. Yeah, he hasn't had much luck. Brian Ingerson's in pit lane for this one. John Bowe starting from pole with Jimmy Richards. The two legends have been dominating this category this weekend. Great field, mixed field. We'll watch for Gavin Bullis to come through. We'll be on board with Steve Mason, and Steve was the inaugural champ of this category back in 2007 in the Camaro, and he's on row 2 of the grid. So if those Fords blink, the Chev's in there.
It certainly is, and I tell you what, the way Bowie and Jimmy Richards have been going, though, by Joves, it's going to be a bit to sort of stay with them, because I think even Andrew Medicki was saying that he had nothing in the bag there to sort of catch up with them.
He might have to find something. Green flag at the back. This is the penultimate round of Touring Car Masters. Jimmy Richards leads the championship on adjusted points, because from the 8 rounds you can count your best 7 scores, and Jimmy missed Tasmania last weekend, so he's still a factor. He leads the way from Bowe and Bullis, but it's all about this one. Race 3 at Sandown. Bowe and Richards on the front row. Mustang and Falcon. Great start from Steve Mason. JB on the next gear shift just gets a little bit more of a run. Down to turn 1, Mason's third. Great start from Renewed, and that's not good. And around goes the Charger. Michael Atchison. Bernie Stack's parked. Nowhere to go, but has a straight car.
And here comes Bullis. Like that certainly helped him a bit.
That has really sent this field scurrying. That's Chris Stillwell with damage to the Mustang. That's one of the Group 2 runners. Major damage there. And the long straights of Sandown, if you're not in a V8, good luck.
Well, actually, Jimmy's car, though, because of the power-to-weight ratio of it, is he keeps up with Bowie in the straight line. And one's a 289, one's a 351. So it just goes to show you it's not all about horsepower, it's about the power-to-weight ratio.
Carries a couple of less kilograms too, that Falcon Sprint that Jimmy drives. It's a 64 model. JB, of course, in the 69 Trans Am Mustang.
But for those who don't know, obviously Jimmy can use a few more revs than JB, so at the end of the day, it probably makes a little bit more power at the top end.
The end of lap 1. Bowen Richards. It's a private duel. Mason third. Brett Yulden in the
Bowie's
HQ.
locked the wheel.
JB with a big lock up at 1, but he makes the corner.
And I think he'll be saying to himself, oh, that's going flap, 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 that tyre now. Now, do you reckon now would be a good time to talk to him?
Probably not.
Yeah.
But if you should. This has really been a great fight between these two. Obviously, we know their records and what they've done. Let's have a look again. Look for the charger here in the background. Just locks the rears. Small touch.
Oh, and Stillwell just touched him.
Just tagged him on the way through. Extreme slow-mo. This wasn't around, this camera, when the charger was.
It certainly would have picked up a few good sights.
Great job from Steve Makarios in the Big Falcon, having a rare run this weekend to get around the outside. Greg Keane in the Porsche 911 there made it through. There's Stillwell. Bang. Just nicked him on the way through. And Steve Mason's going with these boys, though.
And Jimmy's got through on JB, so it's obviously down at Dandenong Road corner where he actually got round him.
And the championship is really being fought out between these two. Gavin Bullis, can you believe this? He's 8th after a lap or 2 laps. He is flying through the order, trying to catch up to these guys and keep himself in with a chance of back-to-back championships.
See, I think, like, even mentally, when you have something like JB had locked that right front wheel coming into turn 1, it makes all the difference in the world, because psychologically you think, oh, gee, how bad's the flat spot on that tyre?
Never used to worry, JB. You were paying the bills, but he's paying them now.
Makes a big difference then, doesn't it?
Here's Bullis. He's up to 7th. Andrew Medicki in the Camaro is just up the road there, the car that's owned and run by Bob Middleton's team. But Gavin's been a real integral part of this category, which was established a couple of years ago out of what was historic touring car racing. And you only have to look at the graph. 29 cars on the grid this weekend. And they're off all V8s. There's a great mix and match. There's Porsches, there's Pacers, there's Tiranas generally in this series as well.
There's Monaros, there's Datsuns, there's Alfa Romeos, there's all sorts of things, Escorts.
It really does take you back to that era that everyone says is golden. I wasn't there, I don't know. You were. 60s and 70s, though. Muscle car period, and that was when touring car racing really became the dominant force in Aussie motorsport.
Well, that's what these cars were all about, and they were the dominant cars of the time. You know, like a V8 supercar is a dominant car now. So what are we going to be looking at in another 30 years' time?
Who knows? Who knows? Good question, actually. Having a look here at Matt O'Brien in the yellow Monaro, 10th overall. Cameron Tilling in this Pacer, which is an absolute rocket ship. It's in Group 2. It's not in the outright Group 1 category, but it mixes it with the big V8s.
It certainly does, and they were a very powerful car in their day.
JB, it's Aaron Noonan. What are you going to do about JR?
Well, I don't appear to be able to do too much at the moment, mate. He's just too fast.
See, JB, you've never been a quitter, mate.
No, I know, mate, but it's just we get to the 3rd race and these heavier cars and the tyres are just so whacked. But
I reckon your right front might be a bit whacked after you locked it up, mate.
Yeah, I didn't even know that, mate.
I shouldn't tell you that.
Yeah, I didn't even know. So how about that for insensitivity?
I notice now you seem to have a lot more mechanical sympathy now that you're paying the bills.
Well, that's absolutely true. I said to Dick a while ago that I have a much bigger appreciation now of what he used to go through when I used to bring him back a smouldering wreck.
Let me tell you, mate, you're talking to him.
Oh, yeah, I know.
We'll let you get back to it, JB.
Okay, mate, thank you. It's... I don't know how Dick used to do this when he drove and talked at the same time. It's not that easy. I'm not that smart.
We'll let you get back to it. And the fight continues out in front. Jimmy Richards leading the way. And the thing is here, we're lapping cars.
He is Tasmanian.
Well, goes without saying, doesn't it? Here's a replay of Gavin Bullis charging through the field around the outside of Brett Yulden, but Mustangs on grass don't really work.
Well, I think Gavin is trying so hard, you know, because he really, really wants that championship. And he must has the smell that he might even have half a chance here, you know.
It's not over till it's over.
Well, certainly going to home good. push, and now some of these guys are having a few mechanical problems, so it'll be a very interesting finish, just like the V8 supercars.
He's up to 5th. He's got Andrew Medicki down the road. Behind him, Brett Youlden in that green HQ Monaro. There it is, which has been a car that ran really well at Bathurst. And if you regularly watch the category, you'll know, you'll be wondering perhaps where Leanne Tander is. They've had an engine problem with that Falcon, and it has not taken the start of this race.
Well, it's been very reliable all year, actually, and Leanne's certainly done a very good job.
Here's a fight between Ian McAllister in the Mustang and Gary O'Brien in the HQ. And this Sandown circuit, it's the same length as it used to be back in the day, but no causeway section. That used to sort out the vent from the boys.
Look, you know, I've been fortunate enough to drive on all 3 versions of the Sandown circuit. You know, certainly the original one, which was, and for safety reasons, they had to change a number of things because turn 1 was always a problem, and the causeway was an extremely fast corner coming onto the pit straight there, or should I say the grandstand straight, and yeah, obviously they slowed things down there. But boy, it was and always has been a great circuit. I didn't like the Mickey Mouse pit they had in the middle there at one stage for the World Sports Car Championship. But other than that, it's a great circuit, still is. Yeah,
they used to turn just left into a hairpin down the back straight here. And have a look at this. This little Datsun 1600 or a 510, depending on which side the fence you come from. Just in the back of there, Cameron Mason had an engine let go in Tassie last weekend. They found one from a Wreckers for $600 just to get back in the race.
But it's still going.
It's still going. Can't keep up with the pacer of Cameron Tilley, though, but that's the great part of this category is Tilley just locks a brake down at turn 11. Jimmy Richards got the margin to 1.4 seconds. So this championship's inching closer and closer. He's going to be able to score a few more points back. This is Medicki over the top of the S's, through the grass, out the other side, no problem.
Well, great.
It's probably faster, actually. Not good for the left front.
I tell you what, the only thing going fast would be his heart rate. I can tell you.
This is with Steve Mason, 3rd spot in the Camaro.
That's a fantastic part of the racetrack. You know, when your car is set up for those sort of corners, it feels so good to go through there quickly.
Great sound. The 69 Camaro.
Had to be a lot different then because, you know, they had to be really torquey because they only had 4-speed gearboxes, and even in the Pacer that's probably got a 3-speed gearbox, which is, you know, pretty average sort of a thing.
Now, mid straight, I thought I saw a slowing car. It's John Bowe.
One to go. We had 1 to go.
And he's not going to do that one lap that's left in this race. No way. Well, he might, but he'll be doing it by next Thursday.
Yeah, gee, that's disappointing.
Oh, throttle cable's broken. So, not an engine problem or anything like that. It's just not going to be able to use that engine power. So, it lets Jimmy Richards off the hook. It costs John Bowe a pile of points. So, it swings the championship pendulum back towards JR.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, you know, something that simple can, you know, just put an end to your race. And although Bowie won't be disappointed with the bill because it won't be very big for a throttle cable.
Jimmy Richards, not too many championships he hasn't won. 4-time Australian touring car champion, and as the boys mentioned earlier, voted number 4 on the top 10 list.
Yeah, yep. And deserves it.
Carrera Cup champ, Target Tasmania champion, NASCAR champion. His versatility is unbelievable, and Touring Car Masters might just be another one to add to the resume for Jimmy Richards. He's off the final turn here at Sandown. Checkered flag will be waiting, and Jimmy Richards takes another win at Sandown. The Camaro boys have been getting closer and closer. Medicki's taken a lot of ground from Steve Mason. Won't quite get 2nd spot, but that was a good drive. Gavin Bullis finished 4th. That's well done.
Pretty spectacular from the back of the grid.
Looking back at Brett Youlden there in the HQ, that distinctive green machine. Our extreme slow-mo with Nigel Benson's HQ at turn 1. And the fireworks really are on. Let's have a look at the results. Mark King in 6th from Graham Alexander. Steve Macarios in the Falcon in 8th. Greg King, great job in the Group 2 Porsche in 9th. And Cameron Tilley rounded out the top 10. Big day ahead at Sandown. Don't go anywhere.